What's up everyone, it's Kelly and today I've got another swatch review for you. So today I'm doing a giant swatch review of an indie brand called Painted Polish. I actually somewhat recently talked about them in my Small Brand Sunday series, and today I've got 3 collections to go over. But before that, just a little bit of background info on Painted Polish just in case you haven't heard of them. They are an independent nail polish brand that is based in the US, and all of their polishes are 5 free, meaning they are free of 5 of the potentially harmful ingredients that can be found in nail polish. They are also vegan, meaning they do not use any animal-derived ingredients, and they're cruelty-free, meaning they do not test their products on animals. Honestly, as soon as I tried this brand, I absolutely fell in love with them. I think that the way they put their collections together is so impressive, and you'll see that in today's video. You'll understand what I'm talking about if you're not familiar with the brand. But let me quickly go over the 3 collections that I'm going to be talking about today. First, we have the Gilded Greens collection, which is 4 green nail polishes, and all of them have a golden fleck running throughout. Then we have the Food for Love collection, which is 8 polishes, and they're all kind of in the pinky range, but we have a couple of white crellies, which I'm very excited about. And then we have the Wine in the New Year collection, and that is 5 polishes, all purples in different finishes, including 1 stamping polish. So yeah, let's go over all of them, and then we can talk a little bit more about pricing, availability, my thoughts on the polishes, all that good stuff. So roll the swatch footage. So as with all of my swatch and review videos, I am using base coat underneath all of my swatches just to protect my natural nail and prevent any stains. Today it's the Orly Bonder base coat. So starting off with the Gilded Greens, this first shade is called Gilded Gecko, and you might recognize it because it was one of my top 10 polishes for spring of this year, and that still holds true. I absolutely love this shade. It's almost like this bright lime green base, and then it is absolutely packed with these golden flecks, and it's just a stunning combination. It feels so springy and vibrant. This would definitely be a perfect St. Patrick's Day manicure, but it also just reminds me of little dandelions dotting a field of grass, and I just love how vibrant that color is without being a neon. So perfect coverage in 2 coats, and I absolutely love it. Next up we have the shade Gilded Clover, which I actually thought was going to be very similar to Gilded Gecko based on how it looked in the bottle, but this base color is definitely more of that Kelly green, that sort of classic secondary green kind of color. And again, I got perfect coverage in 2 coats. It has that little golden fleck running throughout, and it's really just the perfect amount of flakiness in it. It really looks so gorgeous and golden on the nail without overpowering that green base color, and I absolutely love it. I just love how different these shades end up looking, even though they're relatively similar. Then we have the shade Gilded Pines, and this one is definitely a different type of green, and honestly, next to the others, it definitely doesn't look as green, but on its own, I would classify this one as more of a foresty green. It's this very deep color. It gets a little bit more saturation once it hits full coverage, but it's a really stunning shade. It has a little bit of coolness to it, and again, it is packed with that golden flaky running throughout that just adds so much to it, and it really gives me like a mysterious treasure in the forest kind of vibe. So I absolutely love it, and again, just taking this concept of a green polish and adding flakies to it, they managed to make so many different types of polish, and I'm just so impressed with that. And then this final shade in the Gilded Greens collection is Gilded Gherkin, and this one I would describe as an olive green base, again with those golden flakies running throughout, and this one definitely has that strong yellowy undertone to it. We get this nice deep dirty kind of green, and honestly it didn't occur to me until just now, but this is probably a good ugly pretty nail polish. In my opinion, I just think it's pretty. I think having that gold in there makes it look very elegant and rich and mysterious, but I'm sure a lot of people find that base color to be an ugly pretty category. So here's that first collection all together. We've got all of the Gilded Greens here, and like I said, I'm just so impressed that they managed to take this concept of green nail polish with gold flecks running throughout and make 4 entirely different feeling polishes. So I was really impressed with that, but mostly I'm just excited to see actually a full collection of 4 green nail polishes. If you watch my channel, you probably know I love a good green, especially an ugly green, so I'm just really pleased with all of these shades. But yeah, let's move on to the next set. So now we're getting into the Food for Love collection, and I'll start with the white Crellies. This first shade is called Don't Go Bake in My Heart, and as you could guess, it is a white Crelli. And this one is absolutely packed with little flakies. There are purple and pink flakies running throughout. They're super small, so they really add a nice speckled look to the nail. And I feel like white Crellies are just the epitome of spring shades to me. They're the only spring shades that I find myself absolutely loving, and this one is no exception. I was just so impressed with how much coverage I got in 2 coats. Usually I need to do 3 coats for a white Crelli, but this one gave me full opacity in 2. And next we have the shade You're My Jam, and this is another white Crelli, and this is really interesting because I would say this is actually the same color scheme as Don't Go Bake in My Heart. We've got those pinky red and purple glitters in there, but this time instead of flakies, it's actually a hex-shaped glitter. So even though it's the same base color and the same color glitters, it ends up giving such a different vibe. This one to me feels a little bit more playful and splattered rather than sort of that speckly jawbreaker look. So I found it to be really cool that they took the same polish and made 2 different variations of it, and they really give a different feel. Moving on to the pinks of the collection, we have this shade Butter Me Up, and this one is actually another shade similar to the Gilded Greens. So we've got this light pink base, and it is packed with these golden flakies running throughout. So I was really impressed with the coverage of this one. It actually did cover my visible nail line in the first coat, but I did end up needing 2 for full coverage, and I just thought it was a really pretty shade. It definitely has a cooler tone to it, which I think interacts really nicely with that warm golden flake, and it's really pretty. It's very soft and springy, but it's still saturated enough that it doesn't look dusty or dull on the nails. Next we have the shade Relationship Goals, which is a very cute name, and this one is a pink base that is packed with a black speckle. So this one's really interesting as well. I would love to see a full collection of speckled polishes with this black matte speckle in there because I think it's just so visually interesting. I love the way that it looks. This gorgeous base color, it's like this warm, summery kind of pink, and I don't know if there is such a thing as strawberry chocolate chip ice cream, but this is inspiring me to search for that because that is exactly what this looks like, and I love it. Next we have the shade Brie Mine, and this one is a scattered hollow. So I'm not sure that I would classify this base as a jelly. It's more of a Crelli because it ends up giving really nice coverage. It actually did cover up my visible nail line in the first coat, but I did do a second to get that full coverage of color, and it is absolutely packed with a variety of holographic sparkles in there. So it does give a nice scattered look. It's really packed in there, but the color is still very saturated and vibrant on the nails, and it's just another perfect shade. Polishes like this tend to be a little bit on the thicker side, but I didn't find that to be the case at all with this one. It was really smooth and buttery to apply. Then we have the shade Love You Very Much, and this one is another scattered hollow, but this one is a little bit more of that jelly-like formula, so it's a little bit more sheer, a little bit more squishy, but the opacity was so impressive. It wasn't patchy at all, so if you wanted to just do a very light 1 coat of this, it ends up looking so nice. But if you want to get that full depth of that gorgeous berry color, then 2 coats works for me on my short nails. And this one I would say is a little bit more glittery than Brie Mine, so it does dry down a little bit more textured, but top coat should smooth that out really easily. Next up we have the shade I Loaf You, which this shade, I have to tell you, is cracking me up. I know it's meant to sound like I love you, but in my head I keep on reading it as I loathe you, which is very funny for a love themed nail polish collection. But the color is very gorgeous. It's actually this sort of warmer, almost coral kind of pink, and it is a glittery punch on the nails. So we've got that corally kind of color, we've got a little pink in there, and then we have this gold running throughout that really adds so much warmth and brightness to the color. I think it's absolutely stunning, and it gave me perfect coverage in 2 coats. Again, this one will definitely dry down a little bit more textured, but a thick coat of top coat will help that out a lot. And last but not least, for the second collection, we've got Sucker for You, and this one is another glitter polish. Now, looking at it, this is probably meant to be a topper, but it is so absolutely packed with glitter that I ended up actually getting full coverage in 2 coats on this one, but I would actually love to see this in a glitter gradient, and this is such a perfect mixture of the vibe of all the shades in this collection, because we've got that purple, we've got that red, we've got that pink, and we've got a silver in there, and it all comes together and just looks like a glitter bomb on the nails. It's super bright, it's super fun, and it looks really pretty. So very pleased with this one. It ended up applying surprisingly smoothly. So here are all of those Food for Love shades together. We've got all of these nice pinky vibes, and we've got a couple of white crellies that I am just so impressed with. I loved all of the formulas here. I really appreciated having all of these shades be so opaque in 2 coats, even though they are a jelly or crelly type of formula. So I was just very impressed with that. I thought they applied so smoothly and easily, very beginner friendly, and just really gorgeous shades and exciting different finishes here. So now let's move on to the final collection. So this set is called Wine in the New Year, and this first shade is Matte About Malbec, and again we have this sort of gilded vibe where this is a shade that is absolutely packed with these golden flakies, and we have this stunning, super warm, reddish purple base color. But as you could probably guess from the name of the polish, this one actually has a matte finish. So once it is dry, it does have this gorgeous matte color, which I absolutely love to see with a golden flaky. So here is what it looks like without any top coat. Now, if you do want your polish to last longer, you do want to put a top coat over it, but the way I usually get around doing that is if I have a matte polish I love, I'll apply regular top coat on it, and then I'll apply matte top coat over that, and that helps it stay matte, but it also helps it last for a really long time. Next in the collection, we have this shade Wine O'Clock, which is again this really gorgeous reddish purpley base color that is so rich and nice. And then this one is packed with a holographic sparkle, and this one does have a scattered hollow finish, which, as you may know, is actually my favorite type of finish. So I was very pleased with this one. Again, really impressed with the opacity here. It came out looking perfect in 2 coats, and this is just what that looks like in my regular lighting, but once you hit the sunlight or any direct lighting situation, that holographic sparkle is going to really come to life on the nails. Then we have the shade 2023. Again, we're working with that reddish purple base color that is just so gorgeous, and we actually do have another scattered hollow running throughout, but this time it's a little bit more enhanced. So we've got that really small scattered hollow in there, but then we also have these slightly larger but still very small holographic hex glitters that just add a little touch of extra sparkle throughout the manicure, and I just think it's so cool. Again, just taking these shades that are kind of the same concept and making them look so different. So we have this very muted, delicate, classy version, and then we have this brighter, funkier, more glittery version of the same polish, and it's just really cool to have that option of both. Moving on, we've got the shade On Cloud 9, again another scattered hollow shade, which I was so pleased to see, and this time we have that same basic kind of color as the base. We've got this purpley reddish kind of shade, almost like an eggplant color, but this one is a little bit deeper and a little bit richer in tone, so it ends up being this very deep, very dark and vampy kind of shade, and it is just packed with that holographic sparkle. Again, we get a couple of different sizes in there, and this one has a little bit more of that jelly-like feel, so you can see the layers of hollow in there, and it is just so stunning. It gave me perfect coverage in 2 coats. It has a really nice depth, and it applied so smoothly. And last but definitely not least, we have the shade Stamped in Grape, which, as you may guess, is actually a stamping polish. So I did want to swatch it on its own just to show you what that looked like, and you can see this is a nice thick stamping polish, so it did give me full coverage in 1 coat. It was a little bit thicker than your average polish, which I expected, but it ended up still applying really nice and smoothly. But the real test is to see if this stamps nicely. So I did end up just using a random stamping plate that I found from Amazon. In case anybody's curious, I am stamping it over Orly Meet Cute, and I thought that this was actually a really pretty color combination, and this stamped so nicely. It was incredibly opaque. It was super easy to stamp with and very easy to work with in general, and I'm just excited to be adding this to my stamping polishes. So here are all of the Wine in the New Year shades together, and there were 5 of them, but I wanted to show you the stamping polish on its own and then as a stamped manicure, just so you have that for reference. But yeah, just really fun to see all of the ways that you could take this one shade of purple and make it into different versions of nail polish. I thought that was just a really fun way to play with the shade and play with this sort of wine inspiration. And I couldn't resist just throwing in a full comparison chart of all of the shades in case anybody wants to have this for reference. We've got all of the Gilded Greens on top, and then we've got the Food for Love shades in the middle, and then the bottom 2 rows are those gorgeous Wine in the New Year shades. So a lot of this pinky purple vibe going on in the polishes that I decided to review today, but honestly there is not one miss here. I think they're all really incredible quality, really gorgeous colors, and I just love the way that they play with them. I think they do such a great job, but I'll talk about that a little bit more in the outro of this video, so let's get to it. So yeah, those are all the polishes, and honestly I love them all. I am just so endlessly impressed by this brand. I love the formulas. I love how easy they are to use and how beginner friendly they are. I just think they're so buttery and smooth to work with, and they have such a variety of different finishes that all apply so well. So I am just really impressed by that. But the thing that truly wows me about Painted Polish is the way that they make their collections. They honestly just feel like a study in color, and I think the 3 collections that I just reviewed are honestly a great example of that. So like we have the Gilded Greens, and that's all the same finish, all the same base color, but they're all different shades of green, and they end up looking so wildly different even though they're all greens with that gold fleck running throughout. And then we have the Wine in the New Year polish, which honestly, those are all the same variation of purple, and each one has a different finish, and they manage to look so incredibly different. Again, even though it's all the same shade of purple, it just feels like such an interesting way to play with color. And then we also have the Food for Love collection, which is all the different ways that you can make a pink nail polish, because at their heart, all of these polishes, well maybe not the KELLI's, but even those have hints of pink in them, they all feel like pink nail polishes, but they're all done so differently. We've got like warmer pinks, we've got the cooler pinks, we've got the purplier kind of pinks, and it's just so interesting to see the way that they play with color in each collection. It just always feels so different and intriguing, and honestly I'm just really impressed with that. Now they don't always do their polishes in collections like this where it's just kind of one base color and playing with the different ways to use that. They have done different curated collections, and honestly those really impress me too. It's very clear that this brand has a good handle on color palettes, color stories, and just how to play with different finishes and colors and make them look really interesting next to each other. So I think that for me is the biggest thing about Painted Polish, but obviously you want to have a brand that has really good formulas, and I think their formulas are incredible too. So all of these polishes come in 13.2 milliliter bottles. They do have a wide flat brush with a rounded tip, which makes application incredibly easy. I honestly don't even have to do cleanup with these polishes. The price of them does range on the Painted Polish website, so depending on the finish, they can be anywhere from $10 USD to $13 USD. So it really just depends on the polish, but I will link all of these down below in the description, and you can check them out if you're interested. But as you could probably guess, I am super enamored with these, and I love seeing a full collection of greens. That is so exciting to me. But honestly, they were all really impressive. There wasn't a bad one in the whole bunch. So yeah, huge thumbs up from me. So yeah, I want to hear from you guys. Let me know in the comments. We can chat about it. If you enjoy my swatch and review videos, please give this one a thumbs up. And if you're not already subscribed to my channel, please consider subscribing. I put out new videos every Tuesday, Friday, and Sunday. And of course, a huge shout out to my supporters on Patreon, my royal astronomer Amanda M, as well as my cosmic admirals Rocket Man's daughter, Paula, Ken, Rosie, and Courtney. I really appreciate your support, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye. Today's fun fact question comes from Patreon supporter Pookie Bear, and Pookie Bear wants to know, are you into cars, and what would be your dream car? No, I'm really not into cars at all. In fact, my car is the most basic, boring car that you can get. I just researched what the cheapest possible model is that you could buy at the time I bought my car. And then I went to the dealer and I bought that, and I bought the cheapest one that they had on the lot with the worst engine, and it didn't have any of like the extra stuff in it. I don't have floor mats in my car. I didn't have keyless entry for a really long time, and I ended up buying that from a third party, and I can't access my trunk unless I actually use the little key for it. I don't have any optional stuff in there. It literally just gets me from A to B, because to me, I feel like the only thing I need in a car is that it is capable of driving distances and that it is safe. Obviously, that's an important factor as well. And honestly, I'm gonna drive this car until I run it into the ground, and then once that car no longer works, I'm probably just gonna buy the same car again, because I'm really not a big car person. Like I said, I just needed to get me where I need to go safely. But I don't know. Am I the only one who's in that situation? Let me know in the comments. I'm curious. Are you guys car people? Leave it in the comments. Let me know your dream car. I'll look them up. All right, I'll see you all in my next video. Bye.